If you're currently looking for a UX job, I'm sure you're aware that the job market is tough right now. In my last video, I gave you a step-by-step guide on how to get into UX. But is it actually worth getting into UX right now? In this video, we're going to explore the current job market, what this potentially means for the future, and how to plan ahead and stand out. Hi guys, my name is Chili and I'm a senior UX designer based in London. 2023 was a tough year for the tech job market, and there was some hope that 2024 would be better. Even though layoffs this year are not on the same scale as last year, they're still very significant, especially as some people still haven't recovered from last year. I don't like adding to the fear-mongering and the doom talk, so I've stayed clear of this conversation. But it's getting pretty tough out there and we need to talk about it. The reasons for the layoffs are complex and there are many videos on YouTube that go into more detail. But to put it simply, the higher interest rates means that there isn't as much money for companies to invest in new products. This contributes to pressure from investors to make cuts wherever they can, and the easiest and quickest way is to cut off projects and lay off staff. But we're seeing a lot of ups and downs at the moment. There are companies that have done layoffs but then have rehired, so it's hard to tell if things are getting better or not. But one thing we can all agree on is that it feels nearly impossible to get an interview. And when you do finally get an interview, there are a lot of stages and impossible take-home tasks. So job hunting is even more stressful than usual. Even with an abundance of people to choose from, companies still seem to be struggling to hire. Why is that? I have seen the same jobs reposted over and over again. It seems like there is a vicious circle going on. Each post gets hundreds of applications within a few hours, so it takes companies a long time to go through them. Interview stages are getting longer because companies think that by having more extensive interview stages, it will help them vet better and get the best possible candidate. But the opposite is happening. Top candidates are more likely to drop out during this process because they get offers from another company, or they just see it as a red flag. And when a company gets to the end of this process and doesn't get the quality of candidates they were hoping for, they think the process just needs to be even longer and even more intensive. Take-home tasks are getting more and more ridiculous. Look at this task that I got last month. They wanted a whole UX strategy created over a weekend. This is the kind of work that would take weeks to do while you're working with appropriate research and access to their user base and data. It makes more sense to ask people to present their most relevant case study to the job, or for companies to outline exactly what skills they want to see. I think whiteboarding challenges are also okay. Some people don't like them, but the pro for these is that they are constrained within the meeting time. It's hard to find time to do multiple take-home tasks, especially while you're working and job searching. I would love us all to boycott take-home tasks, but it's not that easy, especially when people really need these jobs. There's been a lot of talk at the moment with people feeling like the UX market is oversaturated. There is no straightforward answer. It is and it isn't. The high competition is due to layoffs. Before the hiring boom during COVID, there weren't enough designers to fill roles. But now, highly experienced designers are now applying for lower roles, which means juniors don't stand a chance. With more remote working, jobs can be outsourced to countries where wages are less expensive for the company, which means you're also competing with people around the world, not just in your city. According to the UX Design Institute, UX jobs were down 71% from 2022 to 2023. I haven't found much up-to-date data on 2024. However, when comparing the first quarter to 2023, things don't seem as bad, but they're getting there. It's not just UX design that is affected. Other tech roles and other industries are affected, along with economic factors in the whole world. The tech industry has had 222,000 job losses in 2023. That is 50% higher than 2022, and job postings fell by 60%. The numbers don't look good, but let's dig a little bit deep. Being able to critically analyze data is also a great UX skill that will help you stand out. I'll be doing a video on how to use data for UX soon, so make sure you're subscribed. During the pandemic, there was a hiring frenzy, so we started seeing that boom in the market as the norm. That turned out to be unsustainable and unrealistic long term. So the job numbers that we're seeing today are thought to be more of a correction to the boom rather than this being the end of tech careers. I found this chart from Indeed and I found it very interesting. It only goes up to 2023, but there is still a lot to be learned. Using 2018 as a base, we can see that project management and software engineering roles are recovering to pre-pandemic levels. UX research is showing quite a lot of growth. However, UX design has dropped to 77%. This does seem a bit worrying, but I always interrogate data before taking it at face value. I was curious about what data was fed into this. Over the past couple of years, we have seen variation of the UX job title, and I wonder if this was taken into account. Some companies list it as UX UI, some as UX, product designer, UI design, We've even seen app designer, web designer, interaction designer, and design system designer. I mean, some companies even think a digital designer should be doing UX stuff. And because of that, I do remain a little bit skeptical as to whether all these job titles were accounted for. Another reason why I'm skeptical is because these 4 job roles make up a typical tech team. I've seen teams without a UX researcher, as the designer would be expected to do the research. But I personally have never seen a team that has a UX researcher but no designer. So this data is not making much sense in terms of team structure. How are these companies hiring everyone else except from the designer? I also looked at stats for graphic design because my theory is that what affects UX designer should affect them a little bit too, as these job roles sometimes overlap. In this article from Inc.com, it states that since 2022, graphic design jobs are up 8% and web design jobs are up 10%. That tells me that design roles are slowly recovering, and they are not as the previous chart tries to tell us. So enough about the data. What can you do about this? Number 1, based on the data that we've just seen, I would encourage you to increase your user research skills. UX research is in demand, which means companies are more likely to hire designers who can also do research if they don't have much budget. I have one user research video on usability testing, which I will link below, and I'll be doing more videos soon on this topic, so make sure you're subscribed. Next is about being prepared. If you're still currently employed, update your portfolio so that you're ready just in case you're unfortunately affected by a layoff. Keep track of your accomplishments, as this makes it easier to update your resume, especially when using data. I have a video on how to write a great resume, which I will link. Make sure you're backing up any work you may need for your portfolio. Layoff can be very abrupt. Sometimes you can be locked out of your computer the day you get told. So make sure you're constantly backing up any work you may need. If you're currently on the market for a new job, be prepared for it to take longer than usual. Use each interview as a learning moment. Use the feedback to refine your portfolio and how you present. Even if a job seems like it's gotten a lot of responses, it's important to not let that deter you from applying. Look at this post I saw on LinkedIn by a recruiter, where he talks about not letting these numbers put you off. Out of over 500 people who responded to a job post, only 20 made it to screening. Due to the nature of the market, you'll be applying to far more jobs than usual, and keeping track can be hard, so I made this Notion job tracker. Here's a job tracker that I made in Notion. When you click on the link, it will send you to this web page, and all you need to do is click here to duplicate it into your own Notion space. So that means you have to be signed in to Notion to use it. But let me show you how it works. So here is my Notion space. You've got your status of first interview, just so you can keep track of where exactly you are. And then here, this is the date of your next interview that you've got. Like, so if you've got first interview on this date, just pop it there, and there you've got it. And then the company name, job title, salary. Here you can set the working location and any notes you might have, and pros and cons of it, and location. And sometimes you might just need the original link to the job post. So very easy. If you want to change any of these things here, so you can edit this as you please, and you can edit these work modes along with like city. You've got your different cities if you're looking across different cities. But yeah, it's very simple and it's very useful. Hope you enjoy it. And to everyone else, make sure you're updating your portfolio. This may seem obvious, but a lot of people still use their old portfolio design. I made a set of videos showing how I updated my portfolio to help me stand out when applying for jobs. I will link them below. I also went back and rewrote a lot of my case studies so that they read better. You can also polish some old designs to showcase where your design skills are currently, which might have improved from when you actually did those projects. And if you're new to UX, I think it would be sensible not to spend too much money on expensive boot camps at the moment. I definitely still think it's worth getting into UX, but because of the job market, it isn't great for entry-level jobs at the moment, and it will be a while before you see results of your investments. But definitely keep practicing your UI and design skills so that you're ready when the market picks up. Hot topic at the moment, what about AI? Is it taking over our jobs? Is it the reason why the job market is like this? Maybe there are a small design tasks that can be taken over by AI, but there is an AI panic every few months when a demo video is released, and then nothing happens. We all continue having jobs and AI doesn't take over. There is a lot of hope for AI technology, but for the time being, it's just a productivity tool. A lot of the tools don't have the capacity at the moment to understand complex problems and sympathize with the user. And yes, we've seen the update for ChatGPT 4, But for the time being, it hasn't been implemented into businesses. If AI does get advanced enough to replace us, this won't happen overnight. We will evolve with it. Currently, there are job roles for prompt engineers, a role that didn't exist a few years ago. You will have time to adjust with any changes in the job industry. I always say the key to having a successful tech career is your ability to learn and adapt. So, will the job market get better? I am no fortune teller, but yes, it will. Like any other economic crisis the world has had in the past, things did get better. The problem is no one knows when. We could continue to see more layoffs over the next couple of years, or they could suddenly stop. In the meantime, make sure you use those tips I just gave you. And if you're job hunting, do make sure to time box your job search, as it is easy to let it consume you and your whole day. Remember, it is not you, it is the job market. We're living in such a weird time, and eventually something is going to shift. I hope you enjoyed this video. A lot of research went into it. If you have, please let me know by pressing the like button. And let me know in the comments what your thoughts are of the current job market. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.